gonna come in here. Oh, wow, okay. So if you're just coming in to try and sketch some stuff, wow, this thing flows great. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Is It Worth It, where I go around the world and the internet looking for art supplies to make your life just a little bit easier, or for you just to enjoy the craft just this much more. Now today we're going to be looking at something that I generally don't like doing as an artist, and that is inking. I am not a big fan of inking. I force my students to do inking and to work with pen and stuff like that because there are some great qualities that come along with using an ink pen or an ink brush, but I am not a big fan of inking, so I'm always on the lookout for a utensil that will make inking just this much more enjoyable for me, and if I find one, I will gladly share it with you. Now, today we are going to be using the Pentel Arts Tradio Stylo. This is supposed to be an inking sketch pen, right? It's water-based, which we're normally not too big of fans with, but since we're going to be doing some sketches or some light work like that, I don't think it's really going to be a problem. But we are going to be checking out this pen that we picked up from Michael's. Obviously, you can get them anywhere, but we're going to see, we've done a couple review on the Pentel Arts pens, and so we're going to see if this one holds up or if it's actually worth it. So, come on, let's go check it out. So, as you can see, this is pretty typical for the pens that come from Pentel Arts. Got a little bit of chipboard, the plastic covering so you can see what it is, a nice little drawing on the side, and that is about it. So on the back it tells us it's a water-based dye ink. Unique clear view window on the cap identifies the nib shape. Is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay. The flexible nib creates a variety of line widths. Oh, and it's refillable. Ooh, okay, so that's a plus. So it's refillable. That's nice. With MLJ20 refills. Cool. All right, let's check it out. Oh, came out already loose. So the pen itself seems pretty sturdy. It seems a little small. This is a little small for me. Now I know I have big hands and whatnot, so this is kind of small for me. I would like to have it a little bit bigger. It does have a clear window, right there. So it does have a clear window, which with the reflection makes it really hard to see, but it does have a window, and you can see the brush in there. And if I don't know, like it looks weird. Like that brush, I'm very curious about this brush because it doesn't look like a brush, right? I don't even know where the brush starts on this thing. Oh wow. Okay, so that little, oops, sorry. There's a very, very little itty bitty line right there. So this whole thing all the way up to like here is a plastic. It's a hard plastic. The tip of this is very, very small, and I think it's plastic too. It is. Okay, so the whole thing is plastic. Wow, okay, so the whole brush is plastic. Now I'm very intrigued to see what's going to happen with this thing. Alright, so unscrewable, right? Here's the ink cartridge that I may or may not be able to get out. Let's see. Alright, so you would assume that it is supposed to, you would just rotate it out. But as you can see, I cannot. So we're just gonna move on. I'm not gonna try and spend forever trying to figure that out, because maybe there's just a trick. Oh wait, nope. Okay, not gonna mess with it. Not gonna keep going. Anyway, so it's like I said, it's a bit small for me. And it's sturdy, right? The plastic is a very sturdy plastic. It doesn't feel plasticky, not even with this plastic this clear plastic part right here, it doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't feel plasticky at all, right? See about the snap. Snap's pretty safe, right? Not very loud, but it is good. And then let's see if it posts. Yep, it's got a nice post on it. Don't have to worry about your cat flying all over the place. Has a nice clip, a nice big clip, right? So you know that if you drop it with the lid on, it's, right? It doesn't matter where you're trying to go. That cap, you know, you can fling it, but eventually that clip is gonna stop everything. So, all right, let's dive into this. I'm super curious about this plastic nib. As usual, Strathmore Bristol 300 series, Bristol board, right? All right, let's see here. I mean, it's definitely got a nice fine line to it. Once you get it going, that ink flow is really, I mean, that's really nice. Let's see if you can't really, you're not really gonna get like thick lines, but I mean, you know what? As far as that really, a really weird ink line, I mean, the nib, because it's a very weird plastic nib, but it seems as though you can get some really nice opaque lines, right? Some real nice lines. It feathers out nicely. It's not necessarily a flex pen, right? It's not a flex pen where you can actually like push and bend it and then it gets thicker and thinner. It's not like that, but you do have some nice thin lines. The ink flow's pretty consistent. Obviously, the slower you go, the better it'll be. You can put a little pressure on it to get some thicker lines and like loosen up your grip so that it's not that hard. You're not holding onto it too securely, and then you can get some really nice thin wispy lines. You know what? Like I said, that nib was just so confusing, but that's actually not bad. Now it's supposed to be like a sketch. It says it's a sketch pen, so let's see. I'm gonna come in here. Oh, wow, okay. So if you're just coming in to try and sketch some stuff, wow, this thing flows great. Like, that's the big thing for me. When I'm using kind of ink pens, right, it's really hard sometimes. And it's not a ballpoint pen, right? And so that's the big difference, right? Because you can get some nice flow with like a ballpoint pen, right? And just get some nice flow. But if you're looking for more of something that's not, you know, that doesn't have that ballpoint pen look, but still gives you that kind of idea that you're inking with like an ink pen, right? I mean, you know what? That's pretty cool. So the sketching aspect of this thing, maybe that, oh, okay. So if you're just sketching, see, like the ink flow for the sketch, right? Like the constant movement is, wow. I mean, that's pretty cool. Because doing it individually was kind of like, but if you're just constantly moving, right? And you're really, like, if you're just trying to catch gestures and stuff like that, right, and you just want to quickly throw down some lines, yeah, this is a great sketch pen. That the ink flow on this is insane if you're just constantly moving, right? So you could just keep, you just keep going. Like, if you're doing ideas and you're just really just trying to scribble stuff down, especially if you're doing like a stream of conscious thing, right? Or if you were playing Pictionary, right? And you wanted to use pen because you're like, I like pen better, right? I mean, this, right? So you can just come in and do these nice scribbles. This is fantastic. fantastic. Like I super approve on the sketching ability of this pen. This is great. Now I'm going to make a couple lines, and I want to see, we're going to let that dry for a second, and I want to see if we pull out some markers, if it can actually be, you know, if it won't bleed out with the markers. And one of the markers that I want to try are the King Art markers, solely because we just did those and we're looking at that. So we're going to do a King Art marker. Then we're going to go with this Ohuhu. Let's see, we got some Ohuhu marker, like a big old sketch Ohuhu marker. Try a touch marker. And then we'll also do an Olo marker. And I think that'll be good. Right? That'll do. That'll do. Well, some of you guys really like Prisma, so we'll do a Prisma color as well. All right, so the one thing that we always want to check is whether or not it's going to pull up, like if a marker is going to pull up the ink, because that's one of the hardest things to deal with, is if you are going to be using markers, is that when you go over the line, if it just goes, oh, it bled, right? And you don't want it to bleed everywhere. All right, so we used a bunch of different markers, and I mean, Prisma doesn't fade. Wow, none of these are pulling. Wow, look at that. Okay, so this pen is great. So if we came in, and I'm going to take this really thick one real quick and just, right, if we're just trying to throw in some quick value, right, just throwing in some, you know, some quick shades real quick, nothing too fancy, just right, chuck that in there. None of that line is being affected, right? That's okay. I'm gonna go over this dark part here and see, right? Throw up a little bit of like that in here. Go over the lines, right? Do little lights, but all right. So even with that, right? Even with coming over the lines completely, that is fantastic. Look at that. No smears, no smudges. Wow. All right, so we just got done reviewing the Pentel Art Tradio Stylo, and get this pen. This was fantastic. I don't think you understand how much I don't like inking, right? And then finding something that I can actually sketch with, to sketch with, and then come in with a marker over top of it and not have to worry about it bleeding all over the place. So free form with the pen, because even with ballpoint pen, see, here's the thing, even with a ballpoint pen, which is one of the ones that we normally would use for sketching, really quick, ink flow, really nice. If you come in with a marker, it's going to pull all of that ink. Wherever you make that marker, it's going to smear the ink. So having something that literally doesn't smear, and we tried it with different markers, so different brands of markers, this is something that you should get. You should 100% pick up this pen, because it is quick, it's easy, the ink flow is great, and it's refillable once we figure out how to get the cartridge out. But it is refillable. That's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I highly recommend you picking up this pen, because it is absolutely worth it. Well, that wraps up today's episode. I hope that the information that you just received was insightful and helpful, and that you will be able to use this. And if you did like it, please go ahead and hit that like button and share it with someone who might actually benefit from the same information. Now, if you have any products that you would like me to look and review, please go ahead and drop it in the comments, and I will add it to the list. If you're new to the channel, please go ahead and smash that subscription button so that you get notified every single time that I drop new content. Thank you all so very much, and I will see you at the next episode.